Hello, and welcome back. We are going to be covering price floors and price ceilings today. First, let's define what a price floor and price ceiling are. Okay, so the first one we're going to look at is a price ceiling. Okay, and a price ceiling is a max. It's a legal maximum price that a seller or seller can sell a good or service. Okay, so it's a maximum price, and it must be below the equilibrium price. Okay? And then we'll talk about each one of those. You can stop it and kind of think about that if you want. A price floor is a legal minimum price. Sorry about that beeping. A price floor is a legal minimum price a seller can sell a good or service, and it must be, in order to be effective, it must be above the equilibrium price. Okay, and we're going to graph these so you can kind of take a look at what each of them look like. Okay, so think about that for a second. If you want to pause it, you can go ahead, and then we'll graph exactly what each one of these looks like. So let's take a look first at a price ceiling. Okay, we're going to draw our demand curve here, and we'll draw our supply curve here, and we have our equilibrium quantity, we have our equilibrium price. Okay, and we want to look at, let's look at an iPhone. Okay, so we know that an iPhone is probably around, we'll just average it out. We'll say $700, a brand new iPhone, okay, of the different types that you could get. And let's say at point A, this is what society wants, right? This equals what society is willing and able to pay for an iPhone. Well, let's say that call this a price ceiling. Let's say that the government comes in and says, that's too expensive. We are going to legally mandate a price floor ceiling, price ceiling here. I don't know why I called it a price floor ceiling. And we're going to say that it's $300. And we're going to put the ceiling in right here. Okay, that's our price ceiling. I know it looks weird because it's below the equilibrium price, but that's correct, right? Because the ceiling keeps the price from increasing, right? This is the new price, so $300, right? And we have 2 point B's on here, okay? As supply goes, our quantity supplied is here because at a lower price, Apple has no incentive to produce more of them. And this is our quantity demanded. Of course, everybody would go out and want to buy an iPhone for $300. You'd probably buy more than one iPhone. You have the same demand for it, but you'd probably buy more. And usually price ceilings create, in economics we say create black markets, because what you would do with those extra iPhones is not give them to people, you'd probably sell them. And you'd go sell them online, and people that couldn't find one in the store would end up paying $700 for it anyway. So what does this create? Well, we know if we look down, we know that our quantity demanded now is greater than our quantity supplied. And this is going to give us a shortage. So now that you've studied economics a little bit, you realize that, while it might look nice for the government to come in and lower the price for us consumers, we create a problem because now we have a shortage of that good. It actually pays to let the price go up. What's nice about capitalism is if you don't have the money for an iPhone, maybe you go buy a different type of phone, right? And in capitalism, of course, there are people that go without. That's not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying economic theory, that's what happens when you place a price ceiling on a good. remember, the price ceiling, if you notice here, the price ceiling is below the equilibrium price. All right, let's take a look at a price floor. And we're going to draw our y and x axes here. And we are going to put our demand in here, right? And we're going to put our supply curve. And we're going to put at point A. And we have our equilibrium price, our equilibrium quantity. Now, a price ceiling is a legal minimum price, and this is the price, let's say we're looking at corn. We're looking at farmers. And farmers sell their bushels of corn at $30. And this really isn't good. So what the government does is it comes in and says, hey, we're going to set a price floor at $50. So they come in and they put a price floor at $50 and they say you cannot buy this for anything less than $50, right? Price floor. If you notice here at these 2 points, we'll label them point B. At the price floor, you have supply. Of course, suppliers want to supply a lot of it. There's our quantity supplied. Remember, nobody's demanding or supplying. The supply curves don't shift. What you get here is quantity supplied is now greater than quantity demanded, and this equals a surplus, right? Because people don't buy corn. Maybe they go buy soybeans, or they buy wheat, or they go buy something else, something in place of that. And so you get a surplus of corn. And then, of course, farmers have the surplus. What do they do with it? As we've seen just recently, most of this stuff just rots away in silos, okay? Now, you might be asking yourself, well, if these are so dumb, governments clearly would never do these things, right? Actually, no, government does them a lot, right? Tariffs and quotas act as price floors, right? So the government comes in and says, hey, you can't buy cheaper corn. To protect American farmers, you're going to have to buy this corn, and that corn now is, in effect, more expensive. So you buy less of it, and farmers have a surplus, and they go without. Rent control is another example of a price ceiling, saying, hey, landlords, you cannot charge more than this for rent. You have to charge this. You can't charge any higher than that. Even though the market may be able to charge more, you cannot legally. And then, of course, you create a shortage of housing. So how are you going to remember this? And this is just an easy way. And I get confused sometimes, even when I do these, because I'll put a price floor in where I should put a price ceiling, and I forget what I'm doing. I'm not paying attention, right? So here's an easy way to remember it. If you just picture, right, an upside down house. All right, we'll put a chimney over here. There we go. We'll put a door right here. This right here is your floor. All right, it's a minimum price, and it's above your equilibrium price, right? And this right here is your ceiling. It is below your equilibrium price, and it is a maximum price. It keeps the price from going up. We do not like price floors and price ceilings in economics because we say it creates a misallocation of resources. People aren't really able to buy what they can freely buy in a free market, and a free market allows you to demand and supply something, and that is what should create the price, not somebody coming in. Now, as your instructor, I am not going to tell you that price floors and price ceilings are always bad and always good or whatever. But for the most part, in intro level economics, we don't like manipulation of prices because it does create a misallocation and it can cause problems in society. Okay, until next time.